Oh
Hey,
yeah.
I'm just impressed
Okay.
it reaches.
Oh my God, we're live now.
Perfect.
Tonight I have my co-host Delahaye,
Yo and hello.
Prospero,
Hello.
and Polly.
Prospero swears like a sailor.
Yeah, you should know this by now.
This is not news.
I mean, my God, what the hell?
He popped in right before I pushed go, and all chaos broke loose.
Well, I mean, how could this be news to you, Polly?
Paulie, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna say something I never thought I'd say to another man. Swallow.
The poor guy's gonna choke, and we can't do a Heimlich purchase.
Oh God.
So how's things? Is it a war zone in your neighborhood too?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's the title. I don't know if people can hear the different fireworks going off, but a few times they've been really close to my apartment. So if y'all hear a loud whistle and boom, I'm not being attacked. It's just my neighbors celebrating.
We were surrounded by them around 9 o'clock. Everybody in the neighborhood apparently just unloaded their stash. And it was like, I don't even know where any of this is coming from, but it's kind of interesting.
I like Jenna in chat. She said, in other news, the sun sets in the west.
Yeah.
About you having a dirty mouth.
Oh, great.
Polly,
My mother's dead. It's okay. She can't be hurt by this.
Polly, you've been talking to me and her. Honestly, I don't cuss as much around Polly. I remember the first time Polly joined a game night with me, with the minions, and I was on it. He's like, why is Poppy talking, or why is Pop-Tart talking so horribly? I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, you don't normally hang out with us on game night. Shit. Because when me and him talk, it's very different than when me and I am raunchier on the game nights and cuss, and with him, when it's just him, I'm very chill.
Little.
Oh, I know. She turned 20 yesterday.
God, that cookie was awesome. That thing you put, that was beautifully done. Chris did a lovely job decorating that.
Oh, I know. He used to, that's when we met. He was a cake decorator.
Oh, it was just so cool because, I mean, I've never seen a cookie that dressed up. It was really nice.
Yeah, so I made the actual cookie and the buttercream icing to go on top of it, and he mixed the colors and decorated it.
It was really, really nice.
Very nice. I'm so glad I got him too, because it's been years. I've been trying to get him to decorate again because he likes doing it. And I'm great at making baked goods, but decorating them.
Icing a cake to me is a pain in the ass. It's just please stop being lopsided. It's just, which is why I don't do it. There was an advantage being an only child and an only of onlys. That there wasn't a lot of baking done, so I was never expected to do that well. It's just, I was expected to be able to mind my manners at the table, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah. No, my kids tell everyone my cakes might look not great, but they taste really good. So, but
it's a gift.
I bought him a whole cake tip set, the frosting set, all the different tips and bags and stuff, and he did hers, and he's going to be doing angels in a week and a half.
Wow.
She's turning 16.
Oh my God.
I know. She's my baby. She's the youngest, so I'm my kid could legally drive now if she wants to.
We had friends over today, and when I first met one of the guys was Cree's old boss, and we know his parents too, because we're kind of in between the two of them, closer to his parents' age. But Chad's sister had two little boys when I first met her. Okay, one of them came in and said, "Hey, can I have a hug? Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Wait, what's with the voice?" and why can't I pat the top of your head like at waist height anymore? And I saw him at Christmas and he wasn't that tall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, you're at that age where you're just like shooting up like a weed. And his younger brother, who was just a tiny thing the first time I saw him, is now sprouting up like a weed. And it's kind of scary. It's like, Jesus, I'm that much closer to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a no, like I know the feeling. Like it's so weird. Like Angel's boyfriend that she has, she's known him since she was like 7, he was 9. So they've been, I've been around him. Seriously, we didn't see him for like 8 months. And the next thing I know, he's as tall as Chris.
Huh. Wow.
He's 6'4". He was 15. He just like over a summer and some extra months shot up huge and looked like a grown man. I was like, who's that talking to, his mom? And they were like, that's Kevin. I'm like, what? No.
Oops.
It's like, no. They're like, yeah, he had a growth spurt. I'm like, is he taking steroids? Like, what the hell you mean he had a growth? That's not a growth spurt. That's 9 inches. Like, what the...
Yeah, the poor kid's knees. I mean, you wonder if that doesn't have to hurt. I mean, that much growth in a year.
Oh, I know it does because I did all my growing before 8th grade, so that was awkward. I was 5'11", or I was 5'10" in 8th grade.
There was a classmate of mine who was by 5th grade, like 5'8". And she grew the boobies early. So the poor thing, I mean, of course it was hard for the guys because they all lag at that time. The girls are getting taller and so they were all at boob height. And I don't think anybody looked her in the eye until high school. Because it was just like, oh goodness.
Well, luckily I was very tall, but I also very much dressed like a boy. So, yeah, it was actually a shock. My mom made me dress like a girl one day in 9th grade. So, I talked her into letting me wear blue jeans instead of a dress because last time we had that conversation, I caught a closet on fire. I was 7, to be fair.
Okay.
By the time I was in high school, I learned to stop catching the house on fire. But,
God, that's good. I'm proud of you, Poppy.
I know I sound like a psychopath 90% of the time. It really wasn't that bad. I just very weird family. But yeah, but I had to wear like a tight fitting shirt that was pink and everything and have my hair up. And the very first thing every single one of my guy friends said when they saw me was, "You have boobs."
Oh, God, yeah.
It's like, yes, dear. They've been there.
You have eyes. It's just well done.
I was like, every single one of y'all have hugged me, and none of y'all ever noticed, did you?
Yeah. Now they will. So, Polly.
Yes.
You can speak clearly now. I was just checking.
How you doing, Polly? Other than being picked on.
Oh, I'm doing all right.
I know you had an event before this. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was a cookout.
Yeah.
And I ate and drank.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, that's what you do, right?
Yes.
And then it wrapped up fairly early because that's the kind of people that are over there. So I told Pop Tart yesterday, I'd be coming back home to. I need a shower because it's hot outside, and I was drinking, and you know how that can be.
Oh yeah.
And then I need to soak up some of this alcohol and get a shower, clean up, and then I am going to an all-nighter. Woo!
Oh my god.
So I stopped in
How-
for some caffeine. Speaking of which, let me get that motherfucker open.
Yeah, it's
How can you? Well, you can tell how old I am because just the thought of it was like, oh my head.
yeah. Oh, hold on, I'm letting Harry in. There you go.
Howdy.
Electrolyte shortage. So an all-nighter.
All right. Yeah, I know. I feel like I should start giving him like nurse tips, like drink some Gatorade.
I was thinking that because I have a bottle of Gatorade sitting next to me because I was outside today in the heat and drinking, and I was like, Gatorade water.
All right. Like, but Polly probably knows what he's doing. He does this more than the rest of us.
He's a professional.
we
It's
talking
what
about
you do when
drinking?
you work at yeah.
Yeah.
It's what you do when you work at a college.
And in summertime, in the heat, you go to a cookout and you sweat and you drink, and then it's like, I think I need water and Gatorade.
Yeah, we are a pit stop on Polly's plans today, which I appreciate because I really wanted to, it's my day off. I really wanted to talk with him because I don't get to talk to him too often. And but I figured by like 4 a.m. he's probably going to be too out of it to chit chat with me. So thank you for coming on, Polly. I'm sorry you're getting picked on.
I'm sort of paying attention.
He's still so shocked that I have a gutter mouth.
I'm scrolling through Kamala Harris's Twitter account right now, and her.
Oh no!
She actually, somebody actually managed to, whoever handles her account managed to tweet something about the 4th of July, which I'm surprised. I'm surprised she remembered that she didn't lie about some fake made-up ethnic holiday that she claims she celebrated as a child yet again.
Celebrate freedom.
Everything about her childhood is a fucking made-up story. Well, and her college years, and her early job history, and her later job history, and her presidential run, and her is fake.
And that nice long lapse between graduating from law school and actually joining the bar, which kind of implies, oops, redo.
Yeah, well, as my mom forever points out, John Kennedy Jr. failed the bar 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah, my mom is a Kennedy obsessive, right? So it's like, you have hair just like John. My mom's always saying to me, so it's like, oh, it's great.
It's so funny too because I used to love to tell people like I could claim my father's credits or anything, but my dad passed the Virginia bar, and then when he was in Jacksonville, they made him stand the Florida bar too. And Florida law, because of being a Spanish colony and late to the party, so to speak, was really distinctive and didn't have reciprocity. Mm-hmm. So, like 6 years after taking the original bar exam for Virginia, he had to sit another entire bar exam.
Because he had moved there?
Yeah, he was working for the Prudential, and they moved him down there. And the dudes who all went to Rutgers, because they were out of Newark, didn't want to take the bar. So they had this nice little associate that they could say, well, you're going to have to go over to Tallahassee for a week and take like the bar prep exam, and then you're going to have to take the bar. When we moved to Massachusetts, he was like, thank God there's reciprocity. Because he was just like, if I had to take another bar exam, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, I always figured that this will be the last exam that I ever write, and then there's another one.
Yeah, but the bar is, kind of evil. You have to take the whole thing at one time. They don't break it into sections. The CPAs, they break it into 3 sections.
So the last exam that I took, was one of the most brutal ever. Like, isn't that just appropriate?
Mm-hmm.
There's a doctoral level course in quantitative methodology.
Oh, gross.
So it was stats. It was heavy duty stats. It was fucking brutal. 4 hours. They had allotted 4 hours, and I took all 4. Because it's like, write it and skip over the shit. There's like, okay, that's rough, and you need to, like, you know, answer as much as you possibly can. Like, that's your strategy. Because, you know, answer as much as you possibly can. If you don't let any one question slow you down, skip it, and then you can come back. But you need to get through all the stuff you can get through first run. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because if you spend like the extra half an hour on like 3 questions, and then it's like, and you don't get to the ones you could have answered and gotten easy points for, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's like, yeah, I went through it and like, hey, let's go back. How many did I skip? Oh, like half of them. Like, oh, fuck me.
It's like the old SAT strategy was kind of similar. You know, go, just go. Get the ones that you can, and then go back.
Yeah.
And man, you know, don't look at the clock. Don't look at the clock. Don't look at the clock. You know, that kind of thing. And
it was brutal too, because the professor who was running the course, that was her, like, not only did she teach the course, that was her field of study. That's what she did for a living.
oh dear God, yeah.
Was quantitative analytics. And it's like, oh God. So it's like, you know, they have this perspective like, oh, this is simple stuff. Right. Yeah. Yeah, straightforward, the stuff you're steeped in and deal with every day. Yeah, everyone knows this stuff. Sure.
Yeah, I didn't have any other coursework but this. Yeah, that's fine. This is great. It's like taking orals in graduate school when you've already moved on to another semester, and you're embroiled in like 3 other classes, and that's all your brain is thinking about. And then suddenly it's like, okay, now remember last semester and everything you learned? We're going to need you to talk about that for the next 3 hours. And it's like, okay, that's good. I just had exams in 3 other classes, and now I have to go back and review an entire semester's work. Good. Yeah, I'm good.
I remember the oral defense for my master's thesis.
Mm-hmm.
That was a rough 2 hours, and there's things that they tell you in terms of like strategies. Because remember, you are probably the one who knows the most about this subject in the room because you just wrote a thesis on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like your professors, they know a lot about the general subject area, but you're writing on something specific. So you're probably the most knowledgeable person on this stuff in the room. That doesn't mean you're automatically going to dominate, though, because as I discovered with defenses and comprehensive exams and stuff like that, I don't care what the subject area is. You can plop me down in math, engineering, biology. Doesn't make a difference. And I could sit in there as a professor and ask questions and act like I knew what I was talking about. I've discovered, because all the questions are just like, now you mentioned that is the only possibility. I'm wondering why you think it's the only one. Had you not considered that there might be others? And if there were others, what would they be? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yes, those kind of very vague leading questions that make it sound like you know what you're talking about, and you don't have any idea.
Yeah, and I'm just going to steeple my fingers and look pensively at the table and think, you know, something occurred to me while reading your thesis that I didn't actually read because I'm not even from this fucking faculty. I'm wondering why you chose the particular subject matter. I mean, chapter 3 is on this, and to just name whatever chapter 3 is on, like why the xylem and the phloem and the particular botanicals of this region display these characteristics or whatever the fuck, right? and you just, I'm wondering why that particular area you decided to focus on. That seemed quite, I guess the most polite word would be trite. Didn't you think there was a more sophisticated way of approaching this subject matter?
It sounds like an elitist shitbag when you don't know what you're talking about.
And you have no fucking clue what the fuck the subject's even about, right? Like, it doesn't matter, because those were most of the questions that I was asked. I remember my own research supervisor giving me the advice of whatever you do, do not get into arguments. Do not be combative. That's the last thing you want. Answer to the best of your ability. And then, and remember, there is a clock. So a good strategy is run out the time. Do you understand what I mean? Like, there's nothing
Absolutely.
Don't talk any faster than you need to. And I naturally talk quite quickly. So like, I was like, okay, so let me slow right the hell down. It says, don't get in any arguments. And I remember a guy, because you have to have people from multiple areas, right? Can't just be all people from your department. So they bring in some like outsider from a different faculty, which is required. And he claims, as they all claimed to have read it. This motherfucker didn't read that 216-page monster. He didn't. And you know how I know? Because he said, well, I looked through this and you didn't touch on this subject matter at all. It was literally the title of the second chapter. It was the entire theoretical basis for my paper, because political science, right? So it's like you have to have like a theoretical lens that you're going to blah, blah, blah. Like you have to have a framework. He said, why you didn't even talk about it at all? I'm like, okay, you could have either gone to the table of contents and seen that was the title of chapter number 2. You could have actually read the introduction to chapter number 2, or read chapter number 2, or have gone to the fucking index at the end, and it would have led you to chapter number 2 for the subject that you just named, that I apparently never touched on. And I'm not supposed to be argumentative with this guy.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Yeah, I punted hard on my orals. Jesus, these people, 2 of the professors had been at the university for over 20 years. One of them was a researcher in the subject matter, and it was medieval church. And it was like, oh, Christ.
That was the subject matter?
Yeah, for her.
Oh, good times.
And my other professor was my Renaissance professor, and I was taking Reformation at that semester. I was taking like Habsburg Empire, Reformation, and readings in the Enlightenment. And then I'm studying for Renaissance, medieval church, and 18th century English political history. Holy Christ. She just decides to start quizzing me about like the one part that I had a complete gap in memory. And of all things, it was the Knights Templar.
Nice.
And I'm just sitting there with this kind of So after I finished, it was funny because they sat and did their chitty chat, and afterwards the department chair was telling me, he said, you really didn't do all that well on that Templar question, but holy shit, did you just run wild on the Renaissance? And I was like, yes, because he's going to be my thesis advisor. That's all that matters. It's just, and then I never finished my thesis. My Habsburg professor plagiarized my work, presented it at another university, and didn't give me credit for it. And I was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm done with you people.
Yeah. We're being a little bit rude. Hi, Harry. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I showed up late. You're not being rude at all. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Harry's been snickering at all the right times.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, not intentionally.
No. It was Polly's description of if you can't befuddle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, right. He was describing something that I guess is really more sort of academic theater. These people just sort of go through the motions, and my guess is they're just paying it forward from when they had to do the same thing. They think that their job is to just.
That's
do
why
this
I
to
had
the
a
new
second
guy.
language requirement.
Yeah.
One professor was honest enough to tell me that. I'm like, but I don't do anything with any other language, because the idea in political science, like, why was there ever a second language requirement, is that political science originally emerged as comparative studies. So if you're comparing nation X and Y, you need to know languages to be able to read primary source documents and such. So it's a requirement. And I'm like, yeah, but the kind of political science I do is institutional analysis. It's not it's just not even a part of it. And professors would say, well, it's good to broaden your range of knowledge, and it's just, you heard all the pro forma answers. My research supervisor just told me the truth. I say, he goes, so how you doing with the language requirement? You complete that yet? And I said, yeah, I did. He goes, you got those boxes checked? Yeah. He goes, you know why you have to do that, right? Because we all did.
You know what? It happened to a friend of mine who was doing his graduate work in political science. He ended up like on the same course as you, but he was institutional research was where he was headed. That and a little bit of econometrics, just because why not? And he ended up having to read. He had to read Das Kapital in German. And he said, so now when people ask me, do you even understand Marx? It's like, I understand him in German and in English, you motherfucker. It's just, and he still sucks. He said that was absolutely horrid. Just horrid to have to work your way, especially in German, through Das Kapital. Bad enough.
Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
Ooh. Why don't crabs give to charity?
Oh no. Why?
Because they're selfish.
Oh. Dear God. Oh my God.
I love that MotZ's laughing.
That's so bad.
He's cracked himself up.
This is terrible. I mean,
Jesus Christ. Oh God, we're your minions and this is your zoo.
There's a dad jokes section in the Discord for people who like that sort of humor.
Yeah.
I have contributed more than a few things.
I just love we went from this very in-depth, like, educational, like,
screw that.
Intellectual and then he's just like, hey.
we could go back to academics. Like,
No, it's fine if we don't.
No, the selfish was even much better.
Yeah.
My friend who wanted to study archaeology, but she's afraid her life would end up in ruins.
Oh, God.
Nice. Not everybody's cut out to be an academic. That's the thing. I've worked with a number of people who sort of escaped academia. They realized after about 10 years, they're like, I can't do this anymore. Got any coding jobs? Come on in. I know a lot of people who basically just kind of failed out of academia, which is kind of too bad because they were all really bright people. They just couldn't cut it. So it's nice to hear somebody who made it, honestly, because I've met far too many people who just gave up on it.
I'm very sorry for laughing in the middle of your sentence. I looked down in chat and Polly, B Junkie said Polly is a bad person.
Yeah, I know. Well, you studied the medieval church, Prospero. I got an extra 500 years in purgatory for that one.
That's all right.
Take a while to burn that off. It was worth it.
It was.
How much German would you have to study to be able to understand Marx? I mean, really understand it as well as you would the translation, though.
My buddy is bright enough to punch his way through it, and he would have, if that was in graduate school, he was in England. That was when he was at University of Lancaster before they sent him to Cambridge, which was just great because he's like from St. Louis. So he was like, yeehaw, I'm going to Cambridge, which he played up a little more than he should have. But he said it was just slogging through it with the grammar book sitting next to you, and he'd already, I'm pretty sure he had already read sizable excerpts in English. So some of that will
let me
help.
restate my stupid question. What I'm thinking is, how much German would you have to study before you would understand the German, reading it in German, at a better level or a deeper level than you would a really good English translation. Because I know in my case, where I have no facility for language, I would probably have to study German for 4 years or be immersed in it for several years before I could read Marx in German and get more out of it than I would reading a good English translation.
I imagine he found a tutor. If I know this guy as well as I think I do, he was just doing journeyman translation work and didn't study it, in part because he kind of already knew where it was going. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it was just a case of somebody making him suffer. Like Polly said, I'm going to make you suffer. And you're gonna have to read that in German, and you're going to have to read, some fucking Frankfurt School bullshit in German too, just to really give you a headache. But it's and at the time, of course, I'm sure he was full of the zeal and enthusiasm of the graduate student who thought he was a Marxist, because he did think he was a Marxist. He's anything but now. Which is kind of typical for people who think Marx makes sense when they're young and full of zeal. Yep. I mean, the idea that Thomas Sowell, the idea that Thomas Sowell found it intriguing until he got the job at the Labor Department, and then started running numbers and looking at stuff and going, "Whoa, wait a minute." Do you see the damage minimum wage is doing? And shut up, Thomas, and just do the job. Oh, what's that value theory of labor again? Let's go ask that farmer if he makes the same every year.
Well, sorry, I feel like I derailed the talk there with my silly question. Yeah, I had more than my fair share of academic pain, but it's really not very interesting to anybody except for me. The only one thing probably worth mentioning is I had this one class that I wanted to take at university, and they just stopped offering it because students were like, "This is too hard, we don't want to take this." So they just stopped offering. I said, "No, I really want this." And so I talked to the head of the department. He said, "Oh, there's this guy who's visiting here from China, who's a PhD. He can offer it to you as independent study." I'm like, "Oh, this is the last thing I want," because this is the guy that fails everybody all the time. He was an absolute holy terror, and the idea of having him for independent study in a class that most people thought was too hard, it's like, oh, fuck me. This is not where I want this going, but this is the head of the department. What do I say? Oh, no, thanks. I was already course committed at that point. And it was, and then Tiananmen Square happened, and the guy who was already a holy terror became worse. He was a little upset. There may have been some transference going on. I don't know. I'm not qualified to really say what it was. But it was like one of those episodes of Kung Fu where you just go, grasshopper Chinese kindergarten knows more about analysis than you do. And it was just the fact that I got out of that with a B, I consider to be one of my greatest accomplishments.
Yeah, you lived to tell the tale.
I did. That was like the roughest academic thing I've ever had to go through, because it was like sitting down with that man for a few hours a week to go over that material was just terrible.
Yeah, that's what you get for wanting to take the class that badly. Be careful what you wish for. That was the life lesson you learned there.
Well, it was in the part of mathematics that I was most interested in. So it wasn't like I was just going to go do something that I find tedious and boring as an alternative. It's like, no, I wanted to do that. And the world rewarded me handsomely.
Yes, just really.
Well,
I didn't mean to step on that brake.
I think stuff like that happens to pretty much everybody. I was working full-time and going full-time to university. And I was tired. I needed some rest. And I thought, hey, I'll just take an easy class so I can just get some rest and not have to do anything. And so I took sort of the general introduction to philosophy class that everybody takes. It's like philosophy 80A or something. And I had no business being in that class based on my previous coursework, but I thought it'll be fine. And it turned out that the TA for this section they put me in for this class I should not have been in was the reader for pre-Socratic philosophy, which is the upper division thing I had taken a year before. And she's like, I know that you should not be in here. I'm going to make your life a living hell. Basically, it's the translation of it. Was the notes on the first thing she handed back to me. I'm like, oh, God. So every time I try to slack off, the world punishes me.
I got lucky.
Yeah.
I went to a low rent school. It isn't now. I mean, its academic creds are a lot stronger than it was when I was there. I had good professors. I was lucky. I picked a good department to be in, but there were a lot of really middling teachers. Enough so that I was actually thinking back on college and saying I was probably more challenged in high school. Which isn't
I don't know
the
if you
most
can hear all the
positive thing.
freedom, all the freedom taking place outside. Is it coming through in the mic?
I don't hear it.
No. Is there a
Okay,
lot of
good.
freedom happening in California?
Oh, there's a lot of freedom going on outside my door.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, that gladdens my heart. People are still...
Prospero.
Yeah. What, Polly?
Well, the drummer name is two daughters,
Shit. What?
Anna 1 and Anna 2.
Oh, Jesus God. Oh, God. I think my liver just gave up.
That one is so terrible.
God. Anna 1, Anna 2. God. Oh. I'm never going to be able to forget that. That's the thing about it that really sucks. Is tomorrow at some point I am going to look at Cree and I'm going to go, hey, what the drummer name is two daughters? Just in the hopes that I can get it the hell out of my head.
My friend's 10-year-old daughter would love you, Polly.
Yeah.
Because she loves stuff like that. I looked at her one time and I said, here's something I want you to pay attention to. It's very important. I said, outside of a book, a dog is a man's best friend. Wait a second. Outside of a dog, you've screwed me up. Outside of a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. And she just laughed and laughed and laughed about that. She would like your jokes. She would enjoy that. You'd be fun. I'm all screwed up now.
I love that, though.
Broken me with your dad jokes. God damn it.
Inside of a
I
dog,
don't
it's
normally
too
flub
dark
jokes.
No, you don't, but that's great.
Inside of a
though.
dog, it's too dark to read.
Too dark.
No, it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, it's like the...
Here, I'm going to tell jokes and then explain them. That's always good. It's always good when you have to explain your jokes to people.
Yeah. It's like
No, wait, let me do it over. There is no doing it over.
I hate it when I do that. When I completely bass backwards a joke and it's just like, never mind. And it's like, no, ask me in about a year when we've both forgotten this moment and maybe I'll remember the joke properly.
I've got a friend that she's a psychologist, recently licensed, and she's firmly of the opinion, because we're online, so autism, it's relevant. She's firmly of the opinion that the spectrum idea needs to be tossed in the way that type A and type B personalities were tossed in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Because, look, I mean, here we are, how many years hence from the fucking 70s and people are still talking about type A personalities, using that reference, even though it's like a completely debunked idea. Those aren't categories you can put people into. Mm-mm. I mean, how many fucking decades are we past the fucking creation of the polygraph machine, and we're still hooking people up to that glorified EKG, acting like we can detect lies. Yeah, I mean, it's. But anyway, on it goes. She's
and they're easily gamed. Yeah,
yeah, and it's it's a tool and it's a blah blah blah, and it's the availability of the thing. That's it. That's why. Mm-hmm. Like if it gives numbers, so you can't turn it down. It's the same reason that people trust really, really shitty polls and have no idea how they were conducted, who conducted them, or under what circumstances. Well, because they're numbers, they're outputs, right? But, so it's like, oh, hey.
But Polly, it's also the way they react to Murray's work with the bell curve. They act like somehow or another that's written in stone, and it's like those are plot points on a graph, you asshole. That it says absolutely nothing about individuals at all.
Yeah, you know what I don't
It's
get.
generalized groupings. I said so in the fucking book. Why are you calling me a racist? You know, I mean, the poor man is like, all I did was try to chart some information.
Yeah, and what I don't get about it is a lot of people just need to lighten the fuck up when like when it comes to some of that stuff like, about yourself, because it's you make up a number. You are one of the individuals who make up part of any kind of dispersion of a curve.
Yeah.
Right. I am one of the rarefied, well, more rare men that happen to be inherently poor at math. As a man, I should be inherently good at math, generally speaking. But to make up the small proportion of men that are inherently poor at math, there have to be people like me, and I'm one of them. If I ever tried to get into the engineering faculty, I'd be fucked taking the entrance exam. It's all math. Like I can, yes, I can get it after doing it again and again and again and again. I don't pick it up quickly. Conceptual ideas, oh fuck yeah, I pick them up quite quickly. But mathematicians, people
equations.
that are like, like natural engineers, when you see them in like a conceptual based course, oh god, they're in so much pain. It's like all the nurses, the nursing students, for example, all had to come take ethics in the philosophy department when I was an undergrad. Man, they suffered because they didn't have to write papers, but suddenly they had to write papers. And so they had no idea how to construct a basic argument. It's just, you know, you're out of your natural element and you have no idea how to do this stuff. Like you wouldn't have gone into nursing if reading, thinking, conceptualizing, and expressing your ideas and thoughts was something you came naturally to you or you wanted to do.
Yeah, nurses don't make great essayists. And essayists don't choose to be nurses. There's a reason. You know, people have different skill sets. We don't come like a fully loaded batch of I'm good at everything.
But this is what I don't understand, because it's like when I say like lighten the fuck up about it, because like I'll talk to one of my friends. I was talking to one of my friends about that, and she said, well, there's certain areas in university that, you know, she didn't go on to, by the way, but that are very sexist because of the disproportionate amount of men to women. Engineering and the STEM, of course, comes up right away. And I'm like, okay, this is a talking point for you. I can tell about how rehearsed it is what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like it came out in a very, very particular, very
Why is it
practiced
sexist?
kind of way.
It's just that the proclivities.
And it's like men tend to be better at math.
Yeah.
Like it's I noticed that you don't have any problem with the 80+% of both faculty and student body representation of females in psychology. And it's usually even higher than that. Like 85-90% of the student body and faculty in psychology are female. I noticed you don't think of that as being sexist. And I did say that to her, and her response was, well, that's because women are denied training in math earlier on, and if they were taught equally as men, that all that does is reveal. And it's like you're proceeding off of the premise, just like you said, Prospero, that everybody comes like with equal skill sets out the box, and we're all tabula rasa, blank slates that are just filled with information, and women are sexistly denied certain things and pushed in certain directions. And it's like, no, that's not true. Listen, you know how I know? Because I'm one of the guys who wouldn't make it into engineering. So shut the fuck up. Lighten up about it. It doesn't ruin my life. Why are you letting it become a chip on your shoulder? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. And it's you know, I was in a pretty competitive environment in high school. I mean, at least amongst the people that I'd been in school with for a long period of time, who had all, you know, come out of, you know, they did a different grading system. They did tiered grading for the kids that they were expecting more of. They were graded at a higher standard than others. And, you know, we were all just like in and out amongst one another in class rank in the top 20, let's say. And I had a friend who was, I mean, she did great in school. She would have been, we didn't have a valedictorian and salutatorian, but she would have been the salutatorian. The valedictorian was a kid bound for Harvard. And
Fuck Harvard.
Back.
I just feel
Okay,
the need to
back
say
in-
it every time it comes up.
Absolutely. Fuck most of the Ivy Leagues.
Except for poor forgettable Dartmouth. Everyone forgets about poor Dartmouth.
I applied to Dartmouth and had to
Did
go
you?
through one of those alumni interviews in town with an alumni, and the sanctimony that was oozing off that fucker. Like, who are you, little Southern girl up here in New England, thinking you can go to an Ivy, kiss my ass? And I was like, that was really awkward.
Fuck you and your athletic association.
Yeah,
You bunch
but
of crew team members. Like, what the fuck?
It was, and they call you the town hangover for a reason. There's fuck all up there. Dullsville. You drink and you study, and those were your choices. And it was like, and we're talking in the 70s. But I mean, I kind of walked out of there and said, thanks for making me feel like the scum of the earth. But the funny thing is about my super bright second in the class friend, when the SATs came in, and these are the old SATs back before they gave you an essay question and all that hoopla fun, when they still had analogies and shit. When you just did math and verbal, the gap in her scores between math and verbal were 320 points. Absolutely huge gap. Math, 750. Verbal, like 430. She didn't get anywhere near National Honor Society honors with that. Or National Merit Scholarship honors. Nowhere near. Mine were clustered. 30-point gap. No, not even that. Yeah, 30-point gap.
No, I disagree with what Assassin in the Gray says, depending on what he means. Humanities classes are a damned waste of time. It depends on what gets stuck in or parsed off into the faculty of humanities, because I don't think history is a waste of time by any reasoning, and it is more often than not clustered into the humanities faculty.
Well, they fucked it up too, though, because I was beginning to see that when I was in college. I was beginning to see the happy horseshit younger professors with their very obvious worldviews, kind of trying to indoctrinate a historical view as opposed to teach you how to analyze sweeping trends and movements and that kind of thing. Like, why is it so important that Great Britain went to a constitutional monarchy, developing a parliament, and that, things like that? How does that play out in the rest of the world downstream? The kind of stuff that, if you're really being introduced to historical study, can be worth a shit. No, she was just like, we're going to watch the movie Pancho Villa.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, great, I get to watch a movie and I'm paying to go to college. This is retarded. And then we're going to read 100 Years of Solitude. Okay, we're reading a book that's best suited for a literature course. And, because that's a very weird book. It's magical realism is the style that the book is. And this is for a Latin American history course. And I'm like, now I understand why AOC is the way she is.
Coming out of Boston College, yeah.
Boston University. Please,
Boston
she didn't go to
University.
Boston College. The Jesuits would have taught her something.
Not likely. This is all the Jesuit money's going to slave reparations.
No, now, but I mean,
I'm just kidding. It's not all. It's Georgetown did that, and I'm like, oh god.
Well, that's
really?
Georgetown, though. They're like the useless appendix of the mall.
I mean, as a non-Catholic, I'd like to go to Georgetown and be very judgy of the Jesuits there. I'd be like, aren't you guys Catholics? You know what I mean? Like, I thought you guys were supposed to have like really, firm world views. I mean, you guys are a bunch of fucking monks, right? Like, where's your balls?
Yeah,
And
they
you're
used to be a great. I mean, a lot of really good schools were Jesuit because one thing a Jesuit will do is argue. You
That's
know,
but I mean, like how many schools, the universities were religious institutions? Like before the first one that was secular. I mean, the first secular one was like what? It claims that I mean, fans of Thomas Jefferson like to claim that the University of Virginia was the first secular university, but I don't really buy that argument.
Well, there was no state religion, so yeah. But I mean, if you think about the charters that were given, like to William and Mary and that kind of stuff, they're still Anglican.
They are, yeah. And I mean,
they're not now, but they were kind of.
I like that there's still an honor code at William and Mary. That's kind of cool. It's like, God forbid, huh?
Oh my God! I mean, we had an honor code when I was in college, and I mean, I actually knew a girl who. It's really kind of an unfortunate story. She got thrown out of school. The board met the girl who was her advisory representative. Felt really kind of bad about this because this girl was not from the United States. They sent her home, and she was killed in an automobile accident like 6 weeks later. And she was like, oh God, I think I kind of let her down in representing her. And I was like, okay, number one, I knew this girl enough to know you didn't let her down, because if they left her in the school, that would have been a mistake. She was robbing a vending machine.
Oh.
She was from Bermuda. Tennis team, private school educated.
Robbing a fucking vending machine?
Yeah, she was probably stoned and trying to get a pack of cigarettes out of it,
Oh yeah, I remember them fucking the things.
Yeah.
Where you pull the little knobs.
The Marlboros drop down. Yeah.
And when it doesn't drop, you got to rock the machine without it killing.
Well, I wasn't buying cigarettes. I just remember seeing them like in places I wasn't supposed to be. Like they weren't working anymore. They were just there because no one came and got them.
Well, I mean, I went to college when they let like people smoke and shit in their rooms and stuff, not in classrooms. But I mean, you could smoke in the refectory while people were eating. That was really gross.
I love the old sections of my university, and you can always tell which the old sections are because there's ashtrays everywhere. Like the old elevator cars that there's fucking ashtrays in them. The bathroom stalls that have ashtrays in them.
Well, one of the reasons I think old bookstores, like used bookstores, especially those that carry books of some age, smell so wonderful, is it's that combination of must, vanilla, and tobacco, like pipe tobacco, that kind of smell. Which it's a very earthy smell, and then that kind of musty smell that old books have, with almost that hint of vanilla over top of it. I don't know whether they were doing something with the paper. It could have been, but
or just maybe tobacco wasn't as shitty back then.
It may have had a little bit of vanilla in it.
Some pipe tobacco and cigars did.
Yeah, and I mean not the smelly blueberry shit, but like the good stuff would have a little Madagascar vanilla in there.
Rum soaked pipe tobacco. No, pipe tobacco, it does have a pretty awesome smell. I mean, I'm not a smoker at all, but that smell kind of like, oh, you remind me of my favorite grandfather, the one that was missing part of his lip from smoking the pipe too long.
Yeah,
he was great.
But I always love the smell of pipe tobacco. It's much better than the smell of a cigar. Because there are an awful lot of cheap cigars out there that were like, wow, that's abrasive.
And those little cigarillo things.
Oh, God.
Some of those are even more terrible.
There's a brand called Swisher Sweets.
Oh, I know Swisher Sweets.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Well, it's got so much Turkish tobacco in it. It smells something between the air that used to waft in the choir room at my high school, because that's where everybody stood downstairs to smoke, and they weren't all smoking cigarettes, and regular tobacco. It's the particular blend because they were made up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There's a different type of tobacco blend, and it does have some Turkish in it, which gives it that kind of sickly sweet odor. Oh my God, Europe! I'll never forget. 16-year-old kid, no, like 6 hours sleep after being up for 36 hours. It was just awful. We went to the restaurant in Madrid, which is the big open air marketplace, and they all smoked Turkish tobacco, where they did at the time in Europe. And the whole place smelled like dope. That sickly, sweet smell that was very common in dope at the time. And I was like, I am gonna throw up. It was, and I grew up, I mean, my parents were smokers. Hell, I'm a smoker. But the that smell just pervaded everything.
Hey, Camel says, I know Swisher Sweets, but that's because I live ghetto adjacent. Yeah. That's what everyone used to roll blunts out of back in the day. Was Swisher Sweets.
Mm.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, it's super sweet smelling cigarillos and
or Black and Mounts.
I hated the idiots that rolled around with their stupid little glass pipes in their pocket. It's like, don't you realize you reek?
yeah.
Willow just came in the room.
Hello.
Happy birthday, Willow.
Happy birthday.
Pro and Polly say happy birthday.
Little.
Little. She just smiled.
Actually, it would be happy birthday, the.
Oh, she says, never mind, it's happy birthday, the. She's just over here eating a Twizzler on my bed.
Atta girl.
Say hi to them or no? She just got off work a little while ago.
I was hungry.
You're hungry? Did you get anything at Taco Bell?
Yeah, I got 2 tacos.
You still hungry?
Twizzlers are not a substitute for food. They're
Like-
great, but they're not a substitute for food.
Yeah, it's like Taco Bell.
Okay, she decided.
It's not a substitute for food.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
junk
what
food.
I was gonna say. But
Yeah.
Prosper always gets on my case when I say bad things about Taco Bell. I'm like, I'm in California. I'm surrounded by real Mexican
Hey.
food. Don't
When
talk
you're
to me about
poor
Taco
and you're
Bell.
working in retail and that's the place that's open at 10 after you've worked, and you can get like a taco and a burrito for 99 cents because yes, I'm that old.
Oh yeah,
It's the greatest shit on earth.
And it is a
It
replacement.
still is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
It's better than
Jack
You
and
say-
the Crack.
Jack.
you
I was gonna
say-
say Jack in the Box tacos are the worst. They're just
Oh,
definitely
nah.
not
you think
Taco
you're
Bell.
surrounded
Those
by
are
real
nasty.
Mexican, but I don't want real Mexican. I want mass-produced Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
God,
That's
no,
why
I want
that's why I'm
real
going
Mexican.
to Taco Bell. You know what I
It's
mean?
not
Real
okay. Taco Bell isn't even actual Tex-Mex food. It's the fast food version of Tex-Mex food.
It's the
Hell
fake
yeah.
fast food version of Tex-Mex
But-
food.
But we like
can-
it
Yes.
because it's
can-
filling and it's just it is junk food. Come on, we all like junk food.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
junk food. Like if I wanted fine, fluffy mashed potatoes, I would make them. I'm not getting a bag of chips because I think it's a fine, fluffy mashed potato. Do you know what I mean? Like it's-
So there was a thing that I read once. I mean, I'm not a business major, but I was in this committee where we're doing this thing, and I had to read all this material. And one of the things was on a business case, which was Taco Bell. They weren't making enough money hand over fist, off of people were stoned eating tacos late at night. So he said, how can we make even more money? And they came up with this program called the K- program. And what K- means is, let's get rid of the kitchens at all the Taco Bells. Let's re-engineer our whole menu so we don't actually do 80 cooking at the facility. So they moved it all so it's like central kitchens where they chop up all the lettuce and put sulfites on it so it never browns. And the beans are just like add hot water and mix. And I know too much. That's the
I don't
problem.
know.
Yeah, I can understand. You do know too much.
I think that's when I stopped eating it because I'm not saying I've never eaten at Taco Bell, but
What a
Prosper
dirt
and I always
sheet.
end up in this conversation if we talk long enough about not politics. We end up talking about Taco Bell.
you know what mesmerizes me about Taco Bell? The sour cream gun.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
you don't know how bad I want one of those in my fridge.
Well, you
Like-
know what sour cream? You know what sour cream they use? They use Daisy Light.
Okay.
Daisy's okay.
That's why I like it.
Daisy is now in a squeeze tube.
Sweet.
Oh, I get that all the time. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you have your own gun now. You go get the squeeze tube of the Daisy Light sour cream, and you go buy some Taco Bell shells and seasoning mix, and you can make your own greasy tacos at home. and do your own gun. It's really cool. Or like if you're eating the frozen burritos that you can buy like 8 to the bag because hey, they're cheap and they nuke fast. That sour cream squeeze thing is great. And if you roll it down like a toothpaste tube at the end, you're gonna get like another like 3 tablespoons out. Yeah, it makes kind of the gross ketchup sound when you get at the end.
I can
Okay.
confirm everything Prospero is saying is absolute truth right now.
And it will blow sour cream all over your plate when you get down to, but it doesn't matter if you want sour cream.
Yeah.
Sour cream is the underrated condiment, man. It's like, it's just magic on tacos, burritos. I've dipped French fries in it. Fuck you, don't judge me.
Oh, mixed taco sauce in sour cream and dip French fries in it.
Hey, that's not bad.
No, it isn't.
I should give that a shot.
Yeah, you can chili powder, anything. You know, it's like everybody uses Greek yogurt now. I'm like, what's the matter with the good old sour cream? Yeah.
Harry's a new person, like not new, but new to you.
I'm just new. I'm just not on Sunday very much. Hello.
He's not on. He said hello. Hi.
Yeah, most of his shine.
I think I added. I think I added a rule to the drinking game for your daughter, though. I think there's a rule where everybody drink when part of your family shows up on a Sunday stream.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I was about to say, wait, my daughter has a drinking game. Wait, what?
Your daughter is one of the rules in the drinking game.
Apparently, they have a drinking game for the minions, and the rule is when one of my daughters pop up in the stream, they drink.
Yep.
If Skep and I talk about maps, you have to drink.
Yeah. Well, they can hear you.
Any kind, really.
Yeah, navigation. Yeah. Well, you know, if you take the side streets instead of getting on 495, it's so much easier to get through Fairfax if you're using, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, usually one of them pop in here for my streams. Yeah, I tried to get her to come on stream with me, but she don't feel like it. She worked today. You don't have a headset? We need to get you a headset.
The headset I want is $100.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen.
Well, we can try. We can go 50-50.
I also want to buy actual Switch.
Yeah. I know. I've been over here playing on Angel's Switch. She got it for an early birthday present. And I steal it sometimes and play it.
Mom's prerogative.
I bought it.
Yep. I swear to God, some of the shit my dad would buy me, it was because he wanted to play with it. It was just like, why didn't you just buy it for yourself, man?
Well, eventually I will buy one for myself. Just, as a mom, you usually don't spend that much money on yourself.
Yeah.
Like you make sure your kids have the stuff first, and then you know. But yeah, we celebrated Willow's birthday yesterday. She couldn't decide to where to go, but she took the day off work, so we ate at her job because she works at a restaurant.
Hey, why not?
It was good. It was really good. Chris is like, "Can we come back here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course we can." It's so cute because people who really like food, you could tell when they really love the food because they'll like sway or bounce or something while they're eating. Chris was doing that like the whole time.
And stealing food off the
Every once in a while, he would just start bouncing up and down a little bit, and I'm like,
"You're enjoying this, aren't you?"
Especially with the spicy sushi. Which one did he get? The shrimp.
chili shrimp roll.
The chili shrimp roll.
Mm.
Really like that.
That one's disgusting, not gonna lie.
Well, he loves it. I like it. I had to take Benadryl just to sit next to him, but he loves it. So,
Like bad ketchup.
I'm allergic to peppers, and I live in Texas.
Oh, that's so sad. That really is not fair. And you're allergic to the sun, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm also allergic to grass, so I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
No, I'm thinking maybe Idaho in the mountains somewhere.
I get horribly sick when it's hot. Like I can't handle being hot. So like,
okay, you need to move next door to Della. He'll be running around in a t-shirt and you'll be like, "Are you out of your mind?" And he's like, "It's hot. It's 50. No, it's hot."
No, I like our house stays at 65, what drives some of the family members crazy. But if I get too warm, I get sick and then I get really super bitchy. So nothing over 75 or I go, yeah. Yeah, I don't think my genetics were made for Texas. We just ended up here somehow.
Yeah, you belong in the Rockies, I think. You'd be happy.
All right.
Family could come visit you in the summer when they could stand being there.
This is where we find out she needs more oxygen than the average person. You know?
Oh, yeah,
it's going to be something.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I do really well without a whole lot of oxygen. My blood oxygen has dropped down to 70 before, and I was still awake just walking around like, hey, something's wrong.
Wow. By all rights, you should have been dead.
Yeah, it was
Jenna
like
can
really...
form a club.
Yeah.
These are the only two people I know who've ever had that number and still walk around afterwards.
Low ox people, the
Well,
low ox club.
it wasn't exactly 70. It was in the 70s. It was like 75 or something like that. I don't really remember. My brain wasn't fully functioning. But apparently I just got up and I walked out in the hallway of the emergency room and I'm like, hey, something's not right now. And they're like, your lips are blue. And I'm like, okay, that would be it.
The timeshare sounds like a good idea. Ugh, okay.
So they strapped me back. They strapped me to all the machines, and yeah, they're like, "Oh shit, she's dying." But yeah, so apparently I can still function in low oxygen. I just don't remember how a lot of it.
But you probably shouldn't.
Willow too. Willow, she has she's running out of the room. She does the same thing I do, where she just gets up and wanders off. Like, I'm bored, and just leaves. But she just she put her hands in the air and ran. But yeah, she was born with underdeveloped lungs, and we didn't know till she was 4.
Oh wow!
Like, none of the doctors ever questioned it. Like, she came early, but she would, look like a fully formed baby, which is the same thing that happened to me. Like, I came at 8 months, like I don't know. I was early, and they were like, oh, she's going to be tiny. They had doctors running around all over the place, like 14 nurses. My mom was 14, so they already were scared of that and had preeclampsia. I came out like 7 pounds, 6 ounces and looked totally normal. And Willow did the same thing. Hi, Angel. Okay, y'all got to drink again.
Oh, God, there goes my liver.
They switched. And Willow did the same thing. She came out early, but she was 8 pounds, 1 ounce, and they were like, oh, she looks fine. And then she got, I'm bad with letters. RSP is a virus for the lungs.
Yeah.
That was going about in Texas when they were little, really bad. Angel was a newborn. She got it.
We didn't. My child was getting more food.
Okay, they're both here. Drink again. So, okay, Chris is falling asleep out there. It's probably. Yeah, but yeah, so she got a virus that's only really supposed to affect newborns really hardcore, but it affected her really hardcore. So they started checking her, and they're like, "Oh, she has like half a lung on one side." Like, it's not even half a lung. Like, she was born with underdeveloped lungs, and both of them are small, but one of them really didn't come in at all. There's been times where she stopped breathing in her sleep, and she just crawled down the hallway to me like, nebulizer. I'm like, oh shit. And like throwing it together. Like, I don't know how she did it. Her fingers were blue, her mouth was blue, her face, like everything. She was pale white.
You need
like,
oxygen to survive a week.
But that child crawled all the way down the hallway to me to be like, I need to breathe. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. Yeah, so just a weird thing in my family where we're like, we could still move. It's okay.
Yeah, it is RSV.
Yeah.
RSV.
This is fine.
Yeah. The only way I like doing 5 nebulizer treatments on a child every day. It's very complicated because toddlers are like, back in the day, they didn't have the cutesy ones they have now. She like Willow's had a panda bear one that just makes a little hum noise. Right now she has a kangaroo that just makes a little hum. No, back in the day it was the giant nebulizer that sounded like it was going to eat you. So the way we figured that out is I got extra long cords, and I hooked them together, and we would put it on one side of the room, and we would put us on the other side of the room, and I would be reading her a book while we're doing breathing treatments, because 4-year-olds don't like breathing treatments.
I don't blame them. I mean, Jenna, when she's had to have them, she's an adult and she does not like them. So,
Oh yeah, no, they're not fun, and they don't make you feel great afterwards. They really don't.
yeah.
And having to do 5 a day, it's like doing crack or something. Like your whole body's just vibrating all over the place.
It's the brain damage.
Hence the brain. I think that might be more on the not breathing thing.
I thought that was the congenital part. You know, it was inherited.
She thought that Pro says she thought that was inherited.
Well, for the small price of just all of your privacy, someday in the not too distant future, people will just wear some kind of watch, like an Apple Watch thing, and it will just keep track of everything. And so there won't be any more surprises. It'll be just like,
You
oh,
want
I'm
the
at
cat
90.
in the room?
No! He wants my cheese!
I hear the cat just.
Apparently, he wants Aunt Willow's cheese, so he's just sitting at my door screaming.
Yeah, smart cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Willow found a cat in a bush, for anyone who doesn't know.
Of course.
Well, it was funny because the day she came is like, can we please get a cat? I really need a cat. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fine. It's been enough time. We'll get a cat. But we couldn't find a cat through the trying to adopt, because they were like, you have to be over 25. You have to be all these weird standards. And they took Josie out. Josie ran straight to a bush, and there was a kitten.
Wow.
Like, Josie found a kitten, and like she's still so proud about that. Because she's like, I found a kitten and I got to keep it. When Willow moves out, she's going to be so upset.
Oh, gosh.
The universe has spoken.
Yeah, I heard there was an opening.
There, yeah. But Chris he finds that so, like, he's like, that is weird. That's like some weird shit there. Like, the day you say she can have a cat shows up. And I'm like, yeah, but that's always been Willow. She came, like, a chicken followed her home. It just wouldn't cross the road.
Oh, my gosh.
Jesus.
I was going to say, then Polly comes back to life and goes, oh, Jesus.
Wow, I'm just sort of
Stella
listening, and
love.
I'm like, wow, that's.
The chicken wouldn't cross the road.
Yeah, the chicken wouldn't cross the road.
Dude, there are books written about you. Cross the road.
But no, like we have these things like when I was younger, I called them rat-rillas, but they're neutrinas.
Neutrinas?
Neutrinas, yeah.
The awful, scary, what the fuck rats.
Oh,
Are you
they
like
love Willow.
Nutras or it's like it's
Nutras,
You're talking about those
yeah.
big swamp rat things. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like beavers and rats had a baby.
I promise they're not neutrinos, but yeah,
No, they're not
Nutras or
neutrinos,
Nutria
it's
or something. Yes.
Nutria.
Yeah, it's a weird name. I called them rat-rillas when I was younger because, like, giant rats.
Yeah.
Nutria, I think is.
Supposedly they don't taste too bad.
Well, anyways, we have a lot of them here in Texas because, when they were using them as, like, fake beaver fur. And whenever the whole fur business went out, they just released them all.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up with thousands and thousands of them. And they breed like holy hell. But they love Willow. Willow will sit down on the bank of, like, any lake or river. And the next thing you know, there's little baby ones all around her. She can catch turtles, lizards. Like, Willow's magic when it comes to animals. Like, all of them just instantly like her and want to be near her, even if they're completely wild.
It's the Nutria.
Nutria.
Yeah, but it's actually a koipu is the name of the critter. It's a herbivore, semi-aquatic rodent.
Yeah. But on the flip side
Apparently,
of that,
that's Louisiana's state pet or something. It's just,
yeah, we have a lot of them down south. Like, they really did. Dude, I'm just hoping
it isn't. But
the emu farmers don't have the same.
the emus. I've got this image of emus with, like, their bangs
Flip hair.
dyed black,
Yeah.
eyeliner on, Man, I so badly want to cut myself. It's just,
Smoking clove cigarettes.
yeah.
It might be a better option than the ones we have now. They're assholes, but I hope because like they're a bunch of those farms popped up over the place because they thought it was going to be like the next big meat
Yeah.
thing. And of course it wasn't. Nobody wants to eat the demon bird. But
You still want to kill it, but you don't want to eat it after you kill
No.
it.
like you can make a shooting range out of them, but like that's about it. But like so now we just have emu ranches for no reason. And I'm just like, I hope they never get the smart idea of just like releasing them.
Yeah.
That's what they did with a lot of different. Like, we have so many weird animals people don't expect us to have, but it's because like someone started up a business, it didn't work, they shut down and just threw them out in the wild. So, like we have a lot of red ear sliders. That's like we have one as a pet because Willow caught it outside. Because people, start selling them as pets, people realize, oh, fuck, they get huge, and then they release them in the wild, and now we have shit tons of those. We have pythons, boas, a mix of a python and a boa, because apparently they can have babies.
Oh, yay. Just what we needed.
And the one
It's
thing
a super constrictor.
there is a few that we naturally have people didn't realize, like boars. Like, fuck boars.
Yeah.
Fuck them. But yeah, they're naturally here, and we hate them.
The ones that don't live in Oklahoma and Arkansas live in Texas.
Yeah, they're just evil. They're fucking. They are. Okay, they're assholes.
They're super destructive.
They will literally rip your ass out, Willow.
No, they are murderous mothers too.
So they're like, let's beat a bitch.
You are the only human person on Earth that all animals like. I understand boars like you, but so does every other animal on the planet.
And I'm convinced y'all are doing something wrong.
Or
It's
To
not-
anybody who thinks that nobody needs a firearm, it's like, here's a picture of one of these boars. You're
Right.
welcome. There's one reason. You say there's no reason, here's one reason.
You
Yep.
like people have said, why don't you just eat them? You can't because their meat is blue. They literally poison them, like hardcore poison them.
He went to bed.
Yeah,
And it didn't kill them.
It didn't kill a lot. Some of them died, but some of them just now have blue meat that's poisonous.
Cool.
Nice.
He's like, oh, it's horrible. But yeah, they just now there's just poisonous boars, right?
Oh my god, on that note, I'll be right back.
Okay, we probably won't be running too long. I already see Della went to bed.
Yeah.
Actually, I myself have to get going because a friend is coming to pick me up. So
For your all-nighter,
yep.
you profligate. Well, keep. It's nice talking to you, but Nana needs to go winky tink. So keep talking for a little bit and I'll be right back.
Okay,
Okay.
and we'll probably close out when Pro comes back.
Well, actually, I got to go get.
I know
ready
you
right
gotta
now,
go.
so
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
gotta
so
go.
much for coming. I miss you.
No, it was nice talking to you. We should do it more often and such.
We really should.
All right. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Have a good night and a good time and blow up a small piece of the country you love. Yay.
Bye.
Laters.
No fireworks. Hope you heard
I guess
that.
it's just us. What do we want to talk
Yeah.
about? Red-eared sliders? The boars are delicious. What the heck are they poisoning them with that they're turning the meat blue? I'm kind
have
of curious.
no
I know that's like the
idea.
most autistic question to ask.
Well, I am autistic, so that's okay. Let me Google it.
Is it like the same kind of stuff they use with rats, where essentially they're just trying to make them bleed out? Essentially, it's like heparin, but it's strychnine, that kind of thing. Because the stuff they use to poison rats is just nasty. You just like, here, you touch this, and it's like, oh, okay,
I can
all
hear
of my
you.
blood is everywhere now.
Just ignoring me.
Hold on one second. I have him talking, y'all talking, and I'm trying to Google. Fuck you. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, that's what you were trying to do.
What poison they used on boars in Texas to turn them blue?
Potatoes.
They did not poison them with potatoes, Willow Marie.
You don't know that.
Oh my god.
No, they could have.
Yeah.
Raw potatoes are poisonous.
Not well.
Well, they're
No.
not digestible. They're not poisonous, but they will mess you up because you can't digest them. But when
My-
potatoes go bad, they are very poisonous.
Mhm. So that's probably what they used, rotten potatoes.
Okay, Google has finally really went stupid. I typed in what poison do they use on boars in Texas that turns them blue? Yeah. It says, do you mean what poison did they use on boats in Texas to turn them blue?
No.
Boats.
Boats. You put boars in quotes.
Okay, so I don't know how to say this properly. Kaput. It's a K-U-P-U-T. Is the federal hog poison.
Oh, well, the kaput means done in German.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything from the waist down is
destroyed.
kaput.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the name they use on the poison they use on the boars. Is it is a bleeding one because
Give
it's
'em the
basically
Lily.
warfarin, the blood thinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically just the same stuff they use on rats, just formulated for boars. Okay.
But it did
The
not
trouble
work
with
on
that
the
is anything that eats the meat from those, anything that eats the meat from those, when you kill them with that, will probably die.
Yes.
Vultures, anything, which means there's a lot of collateral damage.
Oh, we don't leave the boars out. They have whole
you
teams
definitely.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's whole teams of people who, if they put out the poison, which for the last I've heard, they've given up doing that because a lot of them do die, but a lot of them don't, and then they're just angrier.
Yeah, feral hogs. There's an article about toxic bait for feral hogs, Louisiana sportsman. Oh, great.
Yeah. So now, but if they do put out the poison, they have whole teams that go and pick up the dead ones. And they also had, they just go around trying to shoot them. But a lot of times you can shoot them and they still live and run away from you.
Well, they have really tough hides. And
Yeah.
They're erratic.
This is why you need a big gun that fires more than once.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a reason why firearms are a tool when you live in the country, and there's nothing wrong with culling herds of wild boars. In fact, it's a really good thing to do.
Basically, the rule here, if you live in areas that aren't cities, if you see something with horns or tusks, shoot it.
I can work with that.
It doesn't matter if you know exactly what it is. If you identify horns, antlers, tusks, shoot it, because things down here will kill you. Me and Farah have had this conversation, and she now calls Texas Little Australia.
It should be with all the goddamn emus.
Because, we have emus, we have tons of animals that want to kill you. We have spiders that will kill you, or at least eat your flesh away.
Necrotizing spider bites, yay.
Comedian Greg Proops once said that Australia was essentially Arkansas with a beach. So the joke's been run in both directions before.
Yeah.
We have a lot of tigers. I love when pet tigers get out. It is so funny. Everyone freaks out, and they're just chilling.
Yeah, because they've been pets their entire lives, so they're like very, very large house cats.
Can't we just teach them to hunt the boars?
Yeah, that would be nice. As long as the boars weren't poisoned.
Yeah.
Although those tusks, a lot of tigers will end up dead if they were, there was an incredible video. I think the guy was wearing like a helmet cam, and he was hunting boar, and the boar turned and ran at him, and he got his shot off just as the boar was lunging for him, and the tusks on that thing, the guy would have been dead.
Oh,
if he hadn't put the bullet dead in that boar's skull, because the boar dropped right at his feet.
Yeah, on Willow's Snow White magic powers she's literally always been this way too. We lived out in the country when she was a toddler, and toddlers tell a lot of weird things, right? They joke a lot, they play a lot. They have very big imagination. So she told me that she had a weird little cat puppy friend outside. And I was like, okay, and we just talked about it. Well, one day I walked out very quietly to see what she was doing. And no play. She had 2 foxes playing with her. Like they were running around playing. And I'm just like, well, did we have foxes?
Cat puppies. I love that.
She called them her little cat puppies, and they were her friends. And then she also told me there were birds that talked in the trees. They would have conversations with her. And I went out in the woods one day because in our land we had a yard, and then we had woods. And and in the middle of the woods was a big circle fire pit thing that you could go hang out in. So I walked out there one day to put something out there, and sure enough, I heard hello, 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 and I looked up, and there's 2 parrots, like big, giant, colorful parrots just sitting there. And Willow's like, "Hey, that's Bob, that's Ted."
This is their excellent adventure.
And I'm like, hello, and they said hello back. I'm like, so you actually are having conversation with birds out here? Okay. And then she just ran up and started feeding them her snacks, and they were, I'm just like, oh my god. And dude, she used to play with deer. Deer would show up and just hang out with her.
I mean, when she was small, did she run around singing, I'm wishing, I'm wishing?
She had never even
the...
seen Snow White.
Because I've just got that image of the bluebird landing on her finger, and it's just like, what?
Yeah, it is very so weird. I don't know what's going, but like even as she got older and we lived in the city, same thing. Like Chris's dog, when he lived downstairs from us before we got together, we were friends. His dog would get out and she wouldn't listen to anybody. They were trying to get her back in the house, and she's running around playing with the kids. And they would be like, "Can we borrow Willow?" And Willow would just walk downstairs and be like, "Get in the house." And the dog would just run into the house, and she'd shut the door, and she's like, "There you go," and run off.
As long as the animals don't start talking back, I think it's fine.
Except for the
she
parrots.
starts telling
That's
you
okay.
that the animals are telling her to do things, then you've got a problem.
Okay, he said as long as the animals don't start talking back to you. Do you understand animals? Like, do they speak English to you?
But the parents were already... I don't even speak proper English.
This is true.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That would be, I do not speak English properly.
And on that note, there's several animals that can mimic the English language.
Yeah, that process
Yes.
said unless it's like the parrots that we're talking to, because they actually could talk to you.
Salem screams mama constantly.
Yeah, Salem, her new cat, he kind of picks up, he's trying to mimic us because we got him when he was very, very, very small. Like, we're
2 weeks
surprised. Yeah, he's like 2 weeks old. He was left in a
Oh,
bush to die.
poor little baby.
He's been to the vet a lot, and he's healthy now, but he was abandoned to die because he had his eyes were messed up, and he was sickly, and I don't think the mom could feed him right because he's very small still. And he's big now, but yeah, I think he's just been around humans and a dog so long, he's not really sure on the cat behavior, so he tries to mimic us, and he'll yell "mama" when he's locked in another room. Or one time I turned the corner, I'm like, "Hey," and he went, "Hey."
I've heard him scream before. That was yes, thank you.
Yeah, he'll try to say thank you. It sounds cute. Like, he tries to mimic us very hard. And, it's still cat sounding, but you can tell what he's trying to say, and it's funny.
It's always heard.
Yeah.
It's the human and dog speak.
Yeah, he's never really been around any cats. Like, he met a cat outside the other day because he got out and there was a black cat, and he ran right up to it and freaked the cat out really bad.
Had to lay on top of him, and the other cat pinned him down.
Yeah. Well, wild cats aren't used to other cats just running up like, "Hey, you kind of look like me. What's up?"
Are you my people?
It's really weird though. He hangs out by the pool a lot. Every night that we were over there swimming, he was just chilling there.
Yeah, we're pretty sure that cat brought Salem over to us because he's a cat that's in this area a lot. Like, cats will claim territories.
Yeah.
And he's one of the ones that are over here a lot, and we see him around our door quite often, and he likes to hang out on our porch, but he never really tries to come in or beg for food or anything. He's just around. Willow's magic Snow White powers. And the night, a couple nights before, like we could all of a sudden we heard him throwing a fit on our porch, like he was knocking things over and making noise, and he did it in our front porch too. And then we could hear a kitten meowing, but we couldn't find him. And there was like 2 days of that, and then Josie found the kitten in the bush. So we're thinking the black cat probably found the kitten abandoned somewhere and drug it over to our bushes out in front of our place, and was trying to get our attention of like, hey. There's a little thing.
Look, I don't have opposable thumbs.
All right. Like, I can't write you a note explaining abandoned kitten. Can you come get this thing? Because we had alchemy, we have pets, and we've had that before where animals just bring us random animals. Like, you do this stuff, right?
Well, there is kind of a peculiar. I mean, this isn't normal in tomcats. If they're around other toms, they will kill the infants of a rival tom. But animals do seem to have kind of a peculiar universal small innocent baby animals of other species are kind of like over here you need it, this needs help.
Right. Like you're one of those humans that does things with animals. Fix it.
Yeah.
Fix this.
I found this thing and it's weak and it's helpless and yeah.
Yeah, we had a cat one time bring by a turtle. Like, it wasn't dead, it wasn't attacked, it was just a little turtle that was, like, stranded because it crawled out from the water and then got stuck. And the next thing we know, like, this cat's, like, dragging a turtle over to us. And I'm like, so it looks like we have to figure out what to do with the turtle now.
You have a house full of post turtles.
Well, we most of the time, if they're wild animals, we do not keep them. Me and my sister, either find a place where they can like naturally go, or if they're injured, we find like rehabs and sanctuaries and stuff for them to go. Like, we don't keep most of the animals we find or get brought to us.
Okay, Mrs. Doolittle.
Well, hey, we love animals. We try to help. But we constantly are finding dogs that got away and like calling people we know that handle that. Like, hey, we have another dog.
I'm glad they have a safe harbor because there are a lot of people who just ignore it.
Yeah. There's one apartment around us where it seems like the dogs are running away constantly. And I'm just like, why are all the owners sucky over there? Like,
yeah, they're shitty people.
So the question is, why do people suck? I don't know. You tell me.
Man, if we knew the answer to that, we would have lightning in a
the answer to
bottle.
why do people suck, everything is like, yeah.
Because we live near a very busy road with a lot of like fast food restaurants and stores and all kinds of stuff. And it's basically treated like a highway with stoplights. Mm-hmm. And so if we see animals running around there, we do try to stop and get them because like they're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're used to that area, the humans driving in that area are very fucking dumb. So I don't trust the humans.
Yeah, they're the least trustworthy of the equation.
Yeah.
At least animals have slightly better you can predict behaviors a little bit better.
Yeah. I felt so bad because we were trying to get one dog, but he was too skittish. Like, Willow got him to come to her, and we were feeding him lunch meat, but he would not get in the car. And the second we turned around, he took off. He ran, and he was fast.
You moved too fast. That's why.
I moved too fast.
You stepped back really quickly, and that's when he darted.
Oh,
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. I suck. Ooh, but I am good. On that note of me sucking, I am going to go ahead and close out the stream so Chris can go to sleep.
Yeah.
And turn the fan back on.
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel bad for up north with it getting really hot up there. Like, they're not.
They just don't know how to deal with it.
No.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with getting below zero down here. We had no idea how to. Like, nothing's made for that.
Yeah.
Nothing they have up there is made to run at 116. Like,
God, I mean, Washington State was on fire.
Yeah, like that is something I wanted to say real quick because, like, I've been on TikTok trying to give them hints on like useful ways to stay cooled off or keep your house a little bit cooler because like most of them don't even have air conditioning.
No.
So,
well, there's no call for it.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. It's just, ice bucket in front of a fan.
And of course, there's a lot of Texans who are like, well, that's what they get for making fun of us. And I'm like, no, don't be that way. And then, of course, there's always Arizonans who are over there like, well, it's 120 today. Like, bitch, you have no humidity. Shut up.
Yeah, it's big damn difference.
You're used to it. Your infrastructure, your houses, your everything are made for it. And you like if it's 110 in Arizona and 110 in Louisiana, guess who's having it worse?
Yeah.
Like,
oh God, because the Louisiana people are in underwater and
right.
It's 110.
Because I pointed that out. I was like, I looked up the things today. It says, yeah, you have higher temperatures, but your humidity is literally like 5. Ours is 40, and in Louisiana it is 65. Trust me, out of anywhere, I'd rather be where you are than where we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's hot as an oven, and it's shocking, that dry heat, but it's not the same as the swamp
Yeah, like it just
of the
pulls.
Gulf.
It's like trying to walk out of walk in soup, and you're sweating, and it's.
Oh,
like,
your glasses fog up when you walk out of a building. You have to walk backwards out of the building to keep your glasses from fogging up.
Would you
just
rather
walk
have
away.
the devil's frying pan or the devil's ass crack? Is basically
Yeah,
the choice you're
yeah.
getting. I'll take the frying pan, please.
Yes.
Right?
Both are vaguely unpleasant. I mean, the Gulf is just amazing.
It was on fire.
I saw that. I saw that, and there were a whole lot of people saying, "Yeah, capitalism." And the funny thing is that Penmex, the company that owned the pipeline that burst and caught fire to the Gulf of Mexico, Mexico nationalized their industry years ago.
They're
Yeah.
known
So
for
it's
their
like-
consistently high quality of gas at the pump.
Yeah, this is literally not capitalism. That's why the Gulf is on fire. It's just
It's the
Yeah.
damn socialists.
It honestly isn't anything political. It's just an accident that happened, and there was fire. Like it
Yeah.
happens, you know.
things break on occasion. The
They do.
world does not work perfectly.
Especially when it's under that much water and you can't really see what's going on,
Mhm.
or and I mean that area has a lot of shifting in the ground and stuff, and shit
Yeah.
happens.
Well, when people get all upset about oil spills in the Gulf, it's like, do you know how much oil is actually leaking out of the floor of the Gulf?
Right?
It's why there are tar balls in Florida all the time. The Deepwater Horizon thing, that was light crude. That wasn't what was causing the tar balls in Florida. Those are the cracks in the ocean floor that are puking up heavy crude
Mm-hmm.
that rolls up. The ocean is absolutely incredibly remarkable at how it can clean light crude. I mean, it does a far better job than anybody suspected.
Does this shrimp taste oily to you? Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was awful for Louisiana because, they were just recovering from Katrina, and then we have to close all your oyster beds. None of the oil got to their oyster beds, which actually was a really wonderful thing because those Gulf oysters are amazing if you like oysters. They probably would kill you, Poppy, because, everything can potentially kill you, it seems.
No, just weird stuff. Like I'm not technically, I'm not allergic to. The only food I'm allergic to is celery and peppers.
That is really unusual.
Willow's allergic to celery too.
If you've got to be allergic to a vegetable, celery is one that's worth, I think, choosing to be allergic to.
Right, like it doesn't really I mean, okay, I would say it doesn't really affect me that much because I don't like celery, anyways. Like,
Well,
but
that makes
it's
sense.
in everything.
Yeah, because it adds a crunch factor. That's the wonderful thing about water chestnuts. You can use those to make up for the crunch if you're looking for crunch, or jicama.
I like those. Also red dye, like red dye 40.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really allergic. It gives me really bad migraines. Like if I have it, it's really bad migraine.
That's
So
actually not that uncommon.
Yeah, I just say allergic so people can understand.
Yeah,
Like, no, it's a no.
it's shorthand. I cannot have that, so please do not use that dye.
It makes me physically ill. And whatever they put in the tap water here to recycle it. That doesn't give me a migraine. It gives me horrible diarrhea, so I don't drink the tap water.
That's good enough reason right there.
Yeah, we like a lot of cities don't do this, but in Texas, like the big cities do, where they recycle your sewer water.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, we just figured out like every time I drank tap water, like I'd be sick for like 3 days, just like food poisoning.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah,
like a micron or two of the E. coli was getting through and attacking you. How lovely. Most
Like-
people would like laugh it off, and you're like, no.
dying. And I have to be careful on bottled water because a lot of them just apparently do, like
Yeah.
cheaper ones just do tap water, and I end up same way.
So you have to look for spring water or distilled water or things like that.
Yeah. So everyone's like, why do
Glorious.
you buy water? It's cheaper just to use the tap. And I'm like, because I'll dehydrate and die.
Yeah. Especially in the heat.
Right? Then they're like, it's water. It doesn't dehydrate you. I'm like, you want to bet some money?
It does if it gives you the Aztec two-step.
So this
Yeah.
is something you would never eat, right? This crudité platter with the peppers and the celery.
No.
This is like all the things you don't like.
That's death on a plate.
That's death on a plate. Nobody
See,
really
some
enjoys the
peppers-
crudité platter anyway, so I think you're not missing out on anything.
Yeah. Some peppers I can do if I do Benadryl first. Some of them, like, I have to steer very far away from. Like, don't get near at all. Like, I can't go. Sad thing is, I can't go in, oh, Lord, hot wings places.
Oh, yeah, because it's
Oh,
in
that
the
is
air.
tragic.
Yeah, Chris and Willow both. I love wings too, and I'll order them and get them to the house. But I can't go to the actual restaurants because they have like the Diablo ones or like the super spicy hot one. Just being in the same restaurant with those, I stop breathing.
Yeah, the saturation in the air is just random capsaicin
Like my lungs will literally swell up and I can't breathe.
capsicum particles are floating around in the air.
Yeah.
You would make the
Capsaicin
world's
drug,
worst
yeah.
Antifa member then. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd
Well,
go to the
Oh,
protest and they'd
God.
get out the pepper spray and you'd be like, oh, no, I'm out.
By the
Excuse me,
way,
coming
that
through.
was that was actually the first way we found out it could affect my lungs because usually it just made me very itchy and my throat would swell up a little or my tongue would swell up. When I was in high school, they pepper bombed the cafeteria and I was across the room in the classroom next door to the cafeteria. And I had my head shoved out a window and they were like stuffing because I quit breathing and the cops got yelled at so bad. They're like, you almost murdered a child, and they're like, well, we didn't know.
Well, why did they pepper bomb the cafeteria?
There was a fight going on and they couldn't reach it, so they threw pepper bombs in it to like disperse the crowd. And I mean, you had a bunch of like 14 to 17-year-olds with their eyes swollen and like normal responses to pepper bombs, which are quite painful already. And then you had me who was swollen and couldn't breathe at all. And I wasn't even in the cafeteria. I was just near it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they got in so much trouble. Like the school board got so mad because they're school cops. I don't even know why they had pepper bombs.
Well, why not
they
just turn on the fire sprinklers and then get your taser out and go on the ground? I mean, do some creative thinking.
Yeah, they actually had to ban pepper bombs from my school because of that. Because they're like, okay, if we ever have another student who has the same problem, and I never needed an EpiPen or anything like that before then because it was just don't eat this.
Yeah. And the one cop turned to the other cop and said, and this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, strange little white girls. It's all their fault.
No, the cop that used the pepper bomb ruined it for the rest of the cops.
All right.
Yeah, God damn it, Carl.
God damn it, Carl. You got one job.
Right? Did you have to pepper bomb the group of 15-year-olds? Really?
Well, it's because they didn't want to wait. They didn't want to wade into it because they were afraid they were going to get beat up.
Yeah. So they just bombed a couple hundred children.
If they'd called the
I
real
have
cops,
this genius idea. It'll save so much time.
Well, they did still let them carry tear gas. They just couldn't carry mace or anything pepper related.
my God.
There's Texas for you. Like, we didn't know people were allergic to this.
Oops.
We'll find other things. Like, dude, the one time they did a flash bomb at my school scared the fuck out of me. I couldn't see anything. I was done.
None of these things ever happened at a school that I went to. Never once have the police deployed riot control measures and I didn't exactly go to a great high school.
Yeah, the cops are a little bit liberal with that kind of stuff here.
Let's
They
make it
seem
go
a little
boom,
aggressive.
Fred. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Well-
don't. That they could be the coolest people, and like in Dallas, we have really cool cops, and they're usually pretty chill unless you give them a reason to not be. But there also are the ones who are like, "Hey, I have this thing on my belt, and I've always wanted to use it." So they very much will just like randomly just like
Hit him with a water spray and then the taser. I want to watch him dance. It's just, oh my God.
rubber bullets are a favorite. Those things hurt.
I would imagine.
Your school
yes.
sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like my kids didn't go to public school here.
Yeah, I'm small wonder.
Not high school. Once they got to high school, I was like, no, there's too much crime. We had an issue with like somebody who was running teenagers over on their way to school.
Oh.
Yeah, that happened 2 years in a row. There was a whole bunch of hit and runs.
Oh.
Wow. There's arson. There's rape cases. There's all kind of. And I was like, yeah, they're not going there. And technically, they went to the school that's known for having all the criminal students that get kicked out of other schools, and they're way better behaved in the school they go to than they are in the public schools. I was like,
are there nuns with rulers? Is that
no? It's actually it was made for kids who didn't fit into regular school. So it's a very small one. And it has smaller classrooms, and it's more laid back. There's no like uniforms or anything like that. It was just as long as you show up and do your work, you're fine. If you show up and you're doing any of this kind of stuff, you're kicked out and you have to go back to public school or just drop out. That's your choices. So
yeah, it's good preparation for when you're an adult, because basically that's what adult life is like, right? You just show up, do your work, and it's fine. And if you screw up and you can't get along with everybody else, then you end up living in a van down by the river.
They'll just kick you out. It's that simple. There's no second chances. There's no detention, stuff like that. You're just, if you mess up bad enough, you're gone.
Well, that's kind of
like life.
Very libertarian education in that regard, because you recognize that they're old enough, you present them the choices.
Yeah, and it's self-paced. So if you're a little behind, they do push you pretty hard, but they don't fail you. And if you are way ahead, you can graduate in like a year if you're one of those kids who just work all the time.
How nice.
Sounds good to me.
A misfit school, which actually we need more of them.
Yeah.
Because they're the really bright kids who are going to sit down and do their work. Like Willow was just blowing through class work.
Yeah, she already graduated and everything. Yeah,
she was done like a fulsome. She had one course or something that last semester,
and it was just because they wouldn't open up the course. They finally got it open, and she finished it in 2 weeks.
And when you have autodidacts and self-motivated people like that, because they're in a hurry to get about adulting.
Yep.
She's wanted to pay bills since she was 13.
Oh, 10.
10. Okay.
She was jealous that I was doing taxes.
That child is tailor-made for a CPA program. She really is. The happiest person on the block is I do other people's taxes. Really? Sounds horrifying to me. No, it's really fun. It's like, but
Willow's been obsessed with money since she could talk.
Well, what's weird though is public education is made to turn everybody into a round peg.
Yeah.
And the thing is there are a lot of square pegs.
Yeah.
And they're getting crammed into stuff.
Yeah.
And you see kids just get bored, and fail.
Yeah, Willow was 2 years behind because we tried public school, then we did online school, and the regular online school was just like public school, except they gave you more work. And so that didn't work either. And then we tried this school, and you could pick which classes you're doing at what time, and go through it. Like Angel's already finished biology. Like she's done. Like science is pretty much over for her because she just went through it really fast. She loves science. And, math we're struggling with, which is funny because usually people who are good at science are good at math. And
No, biology, though, is not math intensive.
Yeah,
chemistry and physics are the more physics is the math intensive one. Chemistry less so, but it's still there. And biology is much more plot point math than.
Yeah, Sinatra's in chat.
Oh, hey, Snoot.
Yeah, she has physics next year, and I think that's her last science class, and I don't know how well she's going to do on that one.
She'll struggle. See if you can dig somebody up who'll tutor.
Yeah.
You're not being ignored, Sinatra. For Christ's sake, we just said hello and happy
just said
4th.
hi.
Yeah, there's literally people in the chat talking to you, Sinatra.
The blind lady actually saw you. You're not ignored. I looked over in chat and I was like, I recognize that icon. Oh, it's Sinatra. Yeah, he probably popped in because we had Polly on, but Polly already left to take a shower and go drink. So
more.
Again.
One of these days, I really want to have just this incredibly misogynistic conversation with Polly, where we just sort of sit down and try to figure out the exact year where Ava Gardner started looking terrible. We could just go back and rate vintage women.
Oh my God!
A conversation that really only he and I would actually enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're both like mid-century guys. It's, it's just
I'm the guy with the Dick
bar
Cavett style,
yes.
the Dick Cavett style avatar up right here. So yeah, I'll do 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm not that prejudicial about stuff like that. But we were talking about academics, which is fine.
No, it's kind of funny because the description of the people going, well, and the thing about the thing with the thing with the thing. And it's like, yeah, that's just, and they clench the stem of the pipe in their teeth. And it's like, yes, you're wise.
Yeah.
I would even offer for Sinatra to come on, but I was supposed to end the stream 50 minutes ago, and we just keep talking. Because I'm like, okay, I'm going to end the stream, and then we start talking again.
I know. It's 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure Chris is getting mad at me, and the fireworks are starting to amp up a lot. So I am going to go ahead and end the stream, but maybe I can get him and Polly to come on next time or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. The one time Sinatra was on, I think he got weirded out because him and Prospero were talking. And I forgot I was on camera and I was just listening to music. And,
God, that was fun.
Yeah, he was like, "What is she saying?" And I was like,
She's not. She's just owned. I'm
not very political, so when I want y'all to have fun conversations, I just know I'm not going to contribute. So sometimes I'm still listening because I heard him be like, "What is she saying? Like, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh shit, I'm on camera." I always forget, and so yeah, no, I was just listening to music and letting y'all chit chat. Like,
Sanut, we need to tell Sanut this. He's already left his house to go to the all-nighter party. So you can't get Polly on because he's already...
But my next night, I will let you come on and bully Polly because we already were. I mean, it started off with get your dick out of your mouth. So...
I'm
sorry, I was
so proud of this moment. Yes, dear, but we're wrapping up the good God. Oh, good.
I have to. My man has to go to work in the morning, and he's falling asleep in the living room because I stream from my bed. So as much as I would love to have you on, so you can scream things at Polly and he can watch later. Well, we'll do that next time, okay?
But we love you and thank you for coming by.
And by the way, for everyone in chat that was here when that's what happened. That's why when I hit go, everybody was laughing and talking and making weird comments, is because he was eating and Prospero said that and he was in shock. And
he was in fake shock.
He was like, "Oh, how dare she say something like that?" And I'm just like, it's Prospero. You should already be used to this.
Good God.
You just come on like,
why am I wrong? Trying to talk like this.
He's like, I'm trying to soak up all the alcohol before I go drink more alcohol.
Well, go take care of your man.
Yes.
Because if we're going to keep talking, we might as well let Sinatra on.
No. I am ending. I'm definitely ending before the 2-hour mark. But okay. So thank you, chat, for coming out and listening to us babble about bullshit. And thank y'all for coming on. And thank you to Della and Polly who left early because, it's late. So everybody have a good night. Do y'all have anything
Nope.
I wanted to say?
Taxation is theft.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
All right. Y'all have a good 4th of July night. Don't blow yourselves up.
Good night, folks.
Night.
Night.
Freedom.